Okay, so welcome to chapter 16, local content creation. Now, in this chapter, I will be going over the ways you can have your content for your money site, your PBN, and press releases outsourced as efficiently and budget friendly as possible. And also for the main pages on your digital asset, like the homepage and the about page, I'm going to show you a guideline for writing great content for local business services. Now, it's very important that you get the quality content written because content is king. This means your whole website and SEO campaign is judged on the quality of the content you present to the searcher and to the search engine. So, by having top notch content that is easy to read and keyword friendly, you can just give Google what they want: unique content that provides value to the user. Now, I'm going to show you how to use a great spinner tool I use called wordai.com to get 90% unique content for all your PBN links. I only use spun content for PBN resources. I want you to know that. But I make sure that the content I use is A, readable, and B, grammatically correct. Now, when it comes to outsourcing, I will hire writers for my blog content. Then I will interlink my main pages with my blog content. All right, well, let's just get started and jump right into this. Okay, so I just want to point out that you really want to have a strong emphasis on having your keyword written as naturally as possible and make sure that the whole content page you're writing is grammatically correct. Your content should be about 400 to 600 words. Now, you can go over this. I've heard people say that 1,000 words is really, really good as far as on page, but I've just gotten away with 400 to 600. So if you want to use more, you can. If not, just don't go underneath about 400. Otherwise, it's going to be kind of thinner content, and Google's not really going to value your on pages. And it's really important. You want to use your main keyword or keyword phrase about 3% of the time when writing this content. Now, don't just always put, for example, city plumber. This was the best city plumber. I really love this city plumber. Use LSI variations of the keyword. So, what LSI is, for example, city plumber. Use plumber in city, the best plumber around city, and you get the point. So, just be a little smart using the keywords and you're going to be fine. But you really want to focus on about the 3% rule. Just remember that. Now, how to look for content ideas. Well, what I like to do is go over to a major city and type in my niche and see the top players in the search results. And you obviously know that they're doing something right in the eyes of Google. So I'll look at their content and I'll never copy it, but I'll read it and take out the great pointers and emphasize that in the content that I'm writing. Why not just find content that Google already loves and break down that structure and use it while you're writing your own content? So just dissect it and rewrite it in your own words. And you really want to make it sound original. Google is getting so smart now that it's kind of like having an English teacher give you a grade on how you write your content. So just remember that. Okay, now let's talk about iWriter.com. This is probably the most premier content writing site out there on the internet, and I use it, and so do so many other internet marketers. It's cheap, and you get well written articles for all your SEO landing pages. Now, each article is about $5 to $10, but the value in having great grammatically written content is well worth it. Hire a writer to write about 3 to 5 blog posts a month. That way, you're always providing your website with fresh content, and the interlinking strategy just grows naturally. This will solve your thin site syndrome. You want to get out of the thin site syndrome. This has been a major issue for the last couple of years, and as your site gets bigger, your website becomes more powerful in the eyes of Google. So we already talked about the silo page structures for your on page, but I just want to reiterate the point that you want to have the pages fall under your main category pages. Now, all silo pages will be linking back to the top main category page. So go to Google, find the main categories that you've used for the Google My Business page, put those as the main pages on the nav bar, like we talked about in a previous chapter, and then you want to have pages underneath them that are linking back up to each main category page. So I'm just re-explaining the silo that I showed you in the previous chapter. And when you're adding pages, just remember to start small, keep checking your rankings throughout the month, and then slowly keep building. You don't really need 10 pages of content built in 2 weeks and upload it all at once. Just take it slow and you'll be fine. Remember, most of these markets you're getting into aren't that competitive, and you're not going to need to bring your whole arsenal of tools to the party. It's really not that hard to rank in these lower competitive niches. Now, for the spun content, just remember you want to use for the PBNs and also the inner blog pages of your money site. Never spin the content for your main category pages, which are your top silo pages or even your home page. Always take the time and write that out yourself. So a great example really quick is, let's say you have a plumber website. So one of the inner pages that you bought off of iWriter.com is about how to drain a pipe. So that inner page is going to either link back to the home page or a top main nav page on your website. Remember that. Okay, so you're probably wondering where to grab the content that you're going to spin for your inner pages and your PBNs. Well, let me quickly walk you through this. Okay, so first go over to goarticles.com, type in your keyword, grab that article, paste it into a text file, and put it off to the side. So grab about 2 or 3 more of those articles, and then you want to go over to wordai.com, which I recommend because it spins 90% spun content, and paste that article in there, spin it, and grab 1 or 2 variations of that article to use. So remember, use these articles just for the PBNs and the inner pages. And I just want to reiterate the fact that these PBNs are really thin sites when you start them. So they're going to need more content so they could have more power in the eyes of Google, just like your money site. And what I like to do is use the Google index template so I can list how many pages are being indexed in Google and Bing per month per PBN. Now let me jump over and show you a quick example of this template. Okay, so this is the Google Bing index template file. And what you want to do here is list all your money sites right here. This is just an example. And also all your PBNs that you want to build out with the thin content. So list the PBN sites right here. And then in this column, you want to list how many pages are actually indexed in Google and Bing at the moment. So for this example, let's use a random site, Los Angeles plumber.com. So let's jump over to Google, and you see this parameter with the colon. That's how Google brings up all the pages that are indexed for that specific URL. So in this case, if we press search, we bring up 8 pages that are indexed currently. So we'll take this number 8 and we'll put it right here in the Google index pages column. So let's say there's 8 here, and Bing there is about 5. Now for your February goal, I like to shoot for about 10 pages built out a month. So at the end of the month, we're going to check that again, and if we hit our goal, hopefully there will be 18 pages and 15 in Bing. So this is just to keep track of all the pages being built out on each domain, because over time the value is going to increase as the website gets bigger. All right, I want to introduce you to this software I use on all my PBNs for content building. It's called SEO Catalyst. What it does is it drips feed content that is spun onto all your PBNs or any website that you have. It's really cool, and it saves me lots of time because I can go in one time with a couple articles, post them to the PBN website, and just have the software drip feed them live onto the website however I please. And after a month's time, I'm going to go in Google Index Template to check to see that these links are getting indexed. So you want to set up about 3 to 4 articles, I would say twice per week. So as you're creating your digital asset, you're also creating your PBN assets. And these are just going to spice up your tier 1 linking power and make you just the complete authoritative local SEO figure in whatever niche you have. So remember that. This is a really cool trick I use. Check out the software. You don't need it, but it saves lots of time. Okay, let's talk briefly about the inner pages. Now remember, usually most sites and most local business sites have the thin syndrome ranking factor. They probably only have about 5 or 6 pages ranking in Google. Now the site will appear more authoritative when you add more content. So it just makes sense to every week go in and add 1 or 2 articles. Now the spiders will return to your website and discover new pages when they start realizing that you're always pumping out new content. And what you really want to do is you're not pleasing Google, you're pleasing the Google spiders. You want them to be so happy with your website that they're always coming back for more and they're always hungry for new content. Your goal is to actually have the spiders on your site 24 hours a day, just crawling. Because if they're not on your site, then Google doesn't really like you and doesn't really value your content. Just remember that. Okay, so structuring content with interlinking. Now, when it comes to writing articles for the website, you want to make sure that you're always linking back to the homepage or the main category keyword pages, which are on the nav bar of your website. Remember that. You want to also make sure that you're not using the same keyword for your interlinking. Switch up the text a little bit. Use an a, use an and, use an or, use a best, use a top. Just get creative. Try not to use the same anchor text twice when you're doing your interlinking. And just remember, Google values your inner site linking just as much as your off-page linking. So they use this as a key factor when they're ranking local business websites. So I really want to emphasize the importance of spider crawling on your website. Now remember, fresh blog content makes spiders really curious about what's on your site and what they can explore. The spiders are always looking for new content. And most importantly, you want the spiders on your site crawling 24/7. So how do you do that? It's with fresh content. So content is king, yes, but without the spiders crawling your site, the content's not going to get found and it's not going to be effective. So now that you have your content, let's talk about indexing it. Now what you want to do is add all your URLs to backlinksindexer.com. Now I've already explained about the website, but I just want to emphasize that links are useless if they're not indexed in Google. We all know this, but a lot of times we forget the process on indexing links. So use the index these links template to manage all the links that you're building for your PBNs, your money site, and all that in one. And let's get all these links indexed. And for best practices, I like to submit that template twice a week to Backlinks Indexer just to stay on top of it. Now with your content, you always want to make sure that it's unique, whether it's spun or you have someone from iWriter write it or you write it yourself. So with these two sites, they're going to scan your website and make sure that the content's unique. Siteliner.com is a good tool to help you identify content that is duplicate. But remember, this only helps with the internal duplication. If you took the content from some other website, go throw it on Copyscape.com just to make sure that it passes all the parameters. Now, Copyscape.com is one of the top plagiarism checkers out there on the market today. So when you use it, scan your content and just make sure that it's as unique as possible. And that's it for this chapter. Thanks for watching.